that's what I get more of, is love.
Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to Unity of Columbia. Both you here in our sanctuary and online, we welcome you. As you know, Unity is a positive, practical, progressive approach to Christianity based on the teachings of Jesus and the power of affirmative prayer. And so today we're going to put a few more tools in that toolkit as we go along our earthly journey, being spiritual beings, having this earthly experience. So welcome, and let's stand and greet our neighbor this morning. Let's sing our second song, You've Got a Light.
Please join me in singing again. You got a light. You got a light. You got a light. And it's shining out for everyone to see. You got a light. You got a light. And it's shining out for everyone to see. By some kind of miracle, now I feel that light in me. You got love, you got love, and it's shining out for everyone to see. You got love, you got love, and it's shining out for everyone to see. By some kind of miracle, now I feel that love in me. You got a joy running through you now that cannot be denied. Spirit like a firecracker lighting up the sky. You got a power, you got a power, and it's shining out for everyone to see. You got a power, you got a power, and it's shining out for everyone to see. By some kind of miracle, now I feel that power in me. You got a joy running through you now that just can't be denied. You got a spirit like a firecracker lighting up the sky. You got a power, you got a power, and it's shining out for everyone to see. You got a power, you got a power, and it's shining out for everyone to see. By some kind of miracle, now I feel that power in me.
Thank you, music. Good morning, my name is Mary Kinney, and I'll be serving as your facilitator today. We're grateful to all who contribute to our service today. Welcome everyone to Unity of Columbia, whether you're here in the sanctuary, joining us online. Everybody turn and wave. Come on in. Anyway, we want to remind you to please turn your cell phone off. And if this is your first time here today, we'd like to say especially welcome to you and thank you. Thank you for being here. The ushers have a welcome packet for you, and there's information out in the hallway. You can sign up for the e-newsletter and find out ways to get connected around here. Today's reading is from Confucius. The expectations of life depend upon diligence, The mechanic that would perfect his work must first sharpen his tools. Today's prosperity thought is by Anne and Sunshine. To have success, we tune into divine wisdom. When we have an opportunity to rethink limiting beliefs, we let go. With this new awareness, we are as a snake shedding its skin, leaving behind old ways. We have new opportunities to demonstrate giving, to express creativity and new growth. Let's affirm together, I am divinity at work, achieving success with new attitudes and ways. Now, please join me in affirming our vision, mission, and core values. Our vision is, we celebrate a spiritually awakened world. And our mission is, we inspire the awakening and practice of divine love in every heart. In addition, we celebrate our core values, knowing that we have come here to be spirit-centered and to express the values of love, peace, and connection. And now it's time for the children to gather in front of the sanctuary for the children's moment, led by Krista.
Good morning. It's so good to see all of you. So I have a little story to share with you. This story is from the Old Testament. So this was from the part of the Bible that was even before Jesus was born. So in this story, there was a family, a father, a mother, and 2 sons. And the father died. And when he died, he owed a lot of money to someone. And the mother didn't have any money, so the person that the father had owed money to said, well, I'm going to take your sons, and they'll work for me in repayment for this debt. And the mother was really upset because she didn't want her sons to have to be servants. So she went to a man who was called a prophet, who spent his time being really close to God for help. She said, what shall I do? So his name was Elijah, and Elijah said, well, what do you have in your house? And one said, I don't have anything. And she said, wait, well, I have just a little tiny bottle of oil. And he said, okay. So he spent a little bit of time in prayer. Then he said, here's what you need to do. Go back home and gather all the empty jars that you can get from your neighbors. And then go into your house and close the door and take your little bottle of oil and start filling up all those jars. So she went home and she got all those big jars, and she only had this little bottle of oil. She gathered them all up in her house, she closed the door, and then she started pouring. What do you guys think happened?
Based on the type of stories I know these are, I'm guessing somehow the tiny bit of oil filled up all the bottles.
Yes.
It might only fill one bottle.
Yeah, so if we were thinking about it with our logical human mind, we would be like, psh, that's going to put a couple of drops in the bottom of that big jug, right? But as Danny mentioned, these are special kinds of stories that help us think about, they give us a really memorable example of something that's true, but doesn't necessarily happen exactly like that. So in this story, she took her little bottle and she started filling, and it filled up one whole jug, and then she got another one, and it filled up that one, and it filled up all of the jugs. And when they were all full, then the oil stopped flowing. So she was able to sell that oil, because oil was really valuable back then, and her sons were able to stay home and not have to be servants. So I really like thinking about this story because it gives us a very vivid example of something that's true, which is that when we only think with our human knowledge, our ideas can be really limited. But when we bring our challenges to God and use that part of our inside self to think things that don't seem possible can happen. Like that story happened a long time ago, and we might think, oh, things like that don't happen anymore. But if you really look around and notice, amazing things happen every day. Like maybe you're feeling really low one day and somebody comes along and says just the right thing to make you feel better. Or you're thinking, gosh, I really need something, and all of a sudden here it comes into your life. Like those kind of things happen all the time. But we just have to remember to have the faith to let it happen. Because that would take a lot of faith, right? For that, I mean, think about if you had just this little bottle of oil, would you start pouring it into all those big jugs? Yeah, that would take a lot of faith. We have to practice that. And one good way to do that is with prayer, because it helps us connect to that part of ourselves that lets all things be possible. When Jesus said, with God, all things are possible. So let's make that our affirmation for today. We're going to say, with God, all things are possible. Okay, let's bless our children. We love you. We bless you. We appreciate you. And we behold the Christ you are.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
Children's moment, always a good message even for us big children. Our announcements today. Well, thank you to all who volunteered yesterday for Clean Up Columbia. We were at Bear Creek Trail and we picked up a bunch of trash. So thank you all that helped with that. It was a good community outing, and we did good things. In 2 weeks, mark your calendar because we have a potluck and game night coming up. So make sure Saturday the 27th, you're free from 4 o'clock, and we'll have fun eating and playing games together. So that is Saturday the 27th. And note that the 4 Agreements class will not meet this Tuesday, but the Wednesday class will still meet as scheduled. And then the Tuesday class will resume on April 23rd. It's time for the daily word. Today's word is healing. The affirmation, God's healing power is moving through me. I am open and receptive to God's healing power within me and within my dear ones. I trust with absolute faith that God is greater than any worldly condition. I cannot limit God. I listen to the still, small voice within and feel guided along my healing journey. If fear and worry get the better of me and I start to feel anxious, I call forth the healing power of the indwelling Christ. I spiritually surrender my concerns. When I pray for my dear ones, I do not focus on their condition. Rather, I see them as the divine beings they are, whole, prosperous, and spiritually perfect. As I pray, I perceive God's healing presence moving through me and my beloveds. This presence is the health beyond illness, the abundance beyond the insufficiency, and the life beyond death. It is the truth of my life. Our scripture reading is from Isaiah 58:8. Your healing shall spring up quickly. Now let's say our affirmation together out loud. God's healing power is moving through me. And take a moment to say it to yourself silently.
When peace like a river attendeth my way, when sorrows like sea billows roll, whatever my lot, you have taught me to say, it is well with my soul. Now repeat after me. It is well with my soul. It is well with my soul. And Lord, it's for thee, for thy coming we wait. The sky of the grave is our goal. The trumpet of the angel, O voice of the Lord, blessed hope, blessed rest of my soul. It is well with 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 my soul.
So we let those words resonate in our hearts and minds and soul. It is well with my soul. As we go through this life, we know that we are evolving every moment in our conscious awareness of the God presence within us. And we affirm for ourselves, it is well. It is well with my soul. Whatever the outward appearance, we know, we are assured that we are on that spiritual path. When someone says something to us, we don't take it personally. We take a deep breath, step back, and let go of that insecurity or of that little hook or trigger that grabs us into believing that about ourselves. We say, no, I stand firm in my own spiritual power. All is well with my soul. I let go of any insecurity and embrace that wholeness, the wholeness that is me, that wholeness that is part of me, part of every aspect of my being. And now, as we enter our silent meditation time, whether you're participating with us online or here in the sanctuary, this is a time to put away all other concerns for just a few moments. We widen the space within ourselves for the peace of God to deepen its hold upon us. If you're anxious about anything, if you feel a little impatient to get on with it, just let that go at this moment. Take a conscious breath, slow down, and join us as we have a few moments of silent meditation in the silence. Meditation time, we take a deep breath, knowing prayer and meditation are part of our powerful tools that we can use every moment, every day to remind ourselves we are that expression of God, and so it is.
It is well with my soul. It is well with my soul.
Well, good morning, everyone, again. I'm Carol Schultz. I'm a licensed Unity teacher here at Unity of Columbia, and so glad to be able to share with you this morning some of the spiritual tools I've used over the years in the form of this wonderful book, The Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. And as you were told and are aware, we're in the middle of a book study on these four agreements. We've done this book many, many times here at Unity. How many of you been in classes about the Four Agreements? It's really a timeless book and seems so relevant today, just like it was when it was written in, 1978 or something like that, very early on. So I've been through it many times, and I've attended and gone to several workshops on it. And every time, I'm at a different place in my own spiritual growth, and each time I get something new out of this book, just like we all experience, that we're finally ready to hear this message. And the class discussions we've been having have just been great and given me many insights into how I can use these tools at an even deeper level. Well, this time around, I really was realizing how similar these four agreements are to our 5 unity principles. and I can use them on this quest for spiritual growth and enlightenment. So as we know, our first two unity principles are God is absolute good, everywhere present, and our essence is of God, therefore we are inherently good. And the first agreement is be impeccable with your word. Well, what does that really mean? Yes, it means, don't gossip, don't tell lies, be truthful and honest with yourself, all of those things. One of them, of course, we're learning is say no when you mean no. Well, this time around, I was reminded about that I am presence within me and how important it is that we are always thinking about what am I attaching my I am to? If we're impeccable with our words, we are only giving ourselves positive affirmations, attaching our I am to the highest and best for us and ourselves and others in the world. So we see ourselves and others through our higher self, the Christ mind. So in that way, we let go of especially negative self-talk. And it reminded me to love myself unconditionally. This has been one of my lifelong learnings, is to love myself unconditionally. But as we love ourselves unconditionally, we can also extend that love out to others, knowing that everyone is a reflection of me. One of the prophets of the Baha'i faith, Abdu'l-Baha, said, he had some good advice, I think, for us. It said, if a man has 10 good qualities and one bad one, look at the 10 and forget the one. If a man has 10 bad qualities and one good one, look at the one and forget the 10. And I thought that is such a good reminder for myself in my own spiritual growth and self-love and self-awareness, that how many times have I done 99.9 things correct, but that little 1% is what I'm dwelling on. Or we see something that we haven't done perfectly, and as we've learned over the Lenten season, we're not striving for perfection, we're just making progress along this life's journey. So be aware of how many times you are attaching things to your I am that maybe you don't really mean. When you think something, well, I'm afraid I'm going to be late, or I'm afraid that's going to fall down. Well, you're affirming a fear, so stop doing that. When you're saying, I'm tired, or I don't have enough energy, you're attaching that lack of energy to your I am. You are an energetic spiritual being moving through life with zeal and enthusiasm. And thinking about a part of your body, several of us have talked about strangers that we are just encountering who give us the wake-up call. Don't call that your bad knee. It's just a knee that maybe isn't appearing to function correctly right at this moment, but we know in truth we are perfect beings, perfect bodies. There may be an appearance of stiffness or soreness in that knee, but that's not the truth of the real being. So watch yourself. I think this, for me, this time has been a real course in self-awareness. Where am I causing myself problems? And I noticed that this also goes along with our evolution of consciousness as we become aware, and it's almost like our development as a child. We first are kind of in a victim stage, and everything's happening to me. God out there is either punishing us or coming down on us, and I have no control over my life. So we go through a process that's called, sometimes given in this sequence, to me, by me, through me, and as me. And put another way, first we start as a victim consciousness, then we go to victorious, then we become the vessel, the conduit, and then verity, which means realizing our oneness. So when we start our spiritual journey, we may experience ourselves just as a victim. We see problems and think that somebody's at fault, somebody's to blame, we've got to punish someone for that. We ask questions like, why me? Whose fault is this? We experience separateness and have a lot of drama in our life. But soon we realize that I am responsible for my life. I make life happen. I am creative. I am victorious. I'm not a victim. And I always remember a passage I learned, I can do all things through Christ. I am victorious. So we start experiencing more curiosity and appreciation. We see problems as those things here for us to learn from and to help us on our spiritual growth. So I created this problem so I can solve it. The key questions at this stage are, what can I learn? What do I want to create? We experience personal empowerment and learn to define our wants and desires. So the next phase is that surrender phase, where the God, the Spirit expresses through me, I am a vessel for Spirit. And we're asking things like, what is mine to do? I'm a co-creator with the universal energy. We experience allowing, the flow, wonder, and awe. I see that I am the source of all meaning I give to anything that's happening around me. Life handles all apparent problems in its own time. Our key question is, what wants to happen through me? We experience non-attachment, unlimited possibilities, and plenty of everything in that stage of being a vessel. And from that, we evolve to that feeling of allness, the oneness, the verity, or the truth of the matter. We feel at one with all beings and the universe. We experience peace and spaciousness. We know there's just that oneness. There are no problems. No one needs to solve them. There are no more questions, just knowingness. We experience oneness, non-dualism, unlimited freedom. So what a thing to strive for. And it seems to be that most of us are at that stage of being a vessel and moving up toward being the truth, that knowingness, going for oneness. But as we discussed in our class, that first step, going from victim consciousness to the victorious consciousness, that's really the first step when we realize I am a co-creator. I am creating my own life. So parallel to this spiral of development, we become impeccable with our word. We stop blaming and complaining as a victim and realize our responsibility to lead our own life. We love and accept ourselves, and we stop complaining about others. Our Lenten booklet, as I mentioned, was such a challenge this year, and so listen to this challenge from the Lenten booklet from 2023, the year before. I seek to live a happy, healthy, and prosperous life, so I give up the need to criticize or be offended when anyone criticizes me. I begin to listen actively and make a concerted effort not to be defensive, accepting criticism as an opportunity to grow relationally. All criticism is useful when I realize it is nothing more than someone's mental perception, and that can always be changed. I do not meekly accept unjust or unfounded criticism, but I don't totally reject it. I learn from it by creating a more positive impression in my mind about my own being. I seize the opportunity to communicate in a way that strengthens and enhances my relationship with the other person. I don't take criticism personally. I show that I'm hearing someone through my body language. I maintain eye contact. Wisdom and understanding evolve in me as I respond using positive, affirmative language. What a challenge. So we all, I think, can relate to that. Don't take anything personally. We learn it, keep it for our own learning. Well, we're on week 3, which is don't make assumptions, which sometimes seems to be the core of everything, that we don't make assumptions. As humans, we naturally want to understand everything. We need the explanations. We want to put meaning to events. But how often do we really know what really went on, the real circumstances? We sometimes are afraid to ask for clarification or ask the questions we need to ask for fear of rejection or getting an answer we may not really want to hear. So we guess what the other one means or wants us to do. We try to be a mind reader. We assume that the other person just knows what we want. And many of us who are in relationships realize that that's a big mistake. We have to communicate and ask for what we want. So one of the things I ran across was a book about reconciliation. But first, I have a quote from Don Miguel Ruiz in his book. We make assumptions about what others are doing or thinking. We take it personally. Then we blame them and reject them by sending emotional, then we blame them and reject by sending them emotional poison with our words. That is why whenever we make assumptions, we're asking for problems. We make an assumption, we misunderstand, we take it personally, and we wind up creating a whole bag of drama for nothing. So remember, our third principle, we create our own world. Our thoughts and words are powerful. When we don't make assumptions, we can be more honestly dealing with the truth of the matter, dealing in the reality of the world. As I said, we're sometimes afraid to ask, but Don Miguel says, if you don't understand, ask. Have the courage to ask questions until you are clear as you can be. And even then, don't assume you know that there's all you need to know about that situation. Once you hear an answer, you will not have to make assumptions because you will know the truth. And I did run across this book about not assuming that everybody's thinking the same way. It's from an author that works with the reconciliation projects in Rwanda and South Africa and those places that have gone through horrible, terrible situations and now are on a path to healing. And he does a process that's called the Journey Toward Reconciliation. And he talks about 4 aspects: truth, mercy, justice, and peace. And those are the 4 common stances or outlooks, points of view that people take when they're in any kind of a conflict situation. So he says justice interferes with peace. Peace interferes with truth. Truth interferes with mercy, and mercy interferes with justice. The work is based on Psalm 85:10, where it says, truth and mercy will embrace, justice and peace will kiss. So think about the qualities that you most commonly identify with when you are in some kind of a conflict situation. For truth, do you want the absolute truth? I was stimulated on this train of thought by one of Bill's writings where he was talking about being impeccable with our word. Is it always the right thing to do to say the absolute truth in every situation? You know, what can we do in to not alienate or hurt someone else? But are you standing strong for truth? Do you want mercy? No, we have to give allowances, be merciful to people. We need to stand in mercy. Or do we really want justice? No, we must have justice and follow the letter of the law. And then no, we want peace at all costs. So people are divided into groups and they discuss their stance, and then they come back together and he asks these questions. For truth, he says, I work with conflict and I'm often baffled to listen to different parties in conflict. One person will tell me their truth and another will tell me a very different truth. I can't figure out where you are, truth. Are you 2 people, more than one, or just somebody's idea? For mercy, he says, mercy. How does your religious tradition understand mercy and forgiveness? Are you just a softie, just wanting to brush things under the carpet and go on? Do you cover up an unclean wound and make things worse? For those who stand for justice, he asks, why are you so long in coming in a conflict? Why do we hear your name when the situation on the ground looks like nothing like peace? Some people say that your justice actually creates injustice for someone else. How do you respond to that? And for peace, he asks, everyone says they want peace. So why is it so difficult to find you? Is your peace just keeping things calm for oppressive powers so that they can continue to stifle and exploit people? well, we can see what a difficult and complicated things these concepts are as we go through our daily life, working on our own spiritual growth, not making assumptions, not taking things personally. So I was reminded of that Taoist parable, and I'm sure you've heard this before. This is something that we can take into our other practices that we know are true, our prayer and meditation, and out in the world as we practice the principles. So this is that parable about the Taoist farmer and about accepting just what is and taking a more neutral stance rather than reacting immediately to things. And it goes like this. There was once a farmer in ancient China who owned a horse. "You're so lucky to have a horse to pull the cart for you," his neighbors told him. "Maybe," the farmer replied. One day he didn't latch the gate properly and the horse ran away. "Oh no, this is terrible, such terrible misfortune," his neighbors cried. "Maybe," the farmer said. A few days later, the horses returned, bringing with it 6 wild horses. "How fantastic, you're so lucky, now you'll be rich," his neighbors told him. "Maybe," the farmer replied. The following week, the farmer's son was breaking in one of the wild horses, and it kicked out and broke his leg. "Oh no, such bad luck all over again, what misfortune," the neighbors cried. "Maybe," the farmer said. The next day, soldiers came and took away all the young men in the village to fight in the war. The farmer's son was left behind due to his injury. "You are so lucky," the neighbors cried. "Maybe," the farmer said. So we can see that in each instance, that farmer did not judge. He looked at the reality. It was neither good or bad. And we know that what we like, we call good. What we don't, we call bad. It's our own point of view. I like this story because it reminds me that even when a difficult thing happens, when things don't look like they're in harmony, there are various ways to look at it. There's so much benefit in just being open and curious, extending that unconditional love that we have now learned for ourselves to all others in our circle. Even if something looks scary at first, you don't know really where it's going to take you or where you're going to go with it. If it looks unmanageable, you can sit back and use our tools of prayer and meditation to realize that all is well in our world, as we sang, that we are on that spiritual path. We're guided and directed every moment, and we are adhering to all the 4 agreements. Be impeccable with your word. Don't take anything personally. Don't make assumptions, and always do your best. And so it is.
Please stand and join me in singing once again. Spirit calls, come up higher. Spirit calls, sing I believe. Spirit calls, come up higher. Love lifts us high and sets us free. Spirit calls, come up higher. Spirit calls, sing I believe. Spirit calls, come up higher. Love lifts us high and sets us free. Sets us free from all lack and limitation. Sets us free to realize who we can be. We are made in the image and the likeness of God. Spirit calls, so stand up and believe. Spirit calls, come up higher. Spirit calls, sing I believe. Spirit calls, come up higher. Love lifts us high and sets us free. Spirit calls, come up higher. Spirit calls, sing I believe. Spirit calls, come up higher. Love lifts us high and sets us free. Sets us free from all lack and limitation sets us free to realize who we can be. We are made in the image and the likeness of God. Spirit calls, so stand up and believe. Spirit calls, Spirit calls, Spirit calls. Love lifts us high and sets us free. Spirit calls, Spirit calls, Spirit calls. Love lifts us high and sets us free. Love lifts us high and sets us free. Lifts us high and sets us free.
For the music, thank you for the message, Carol. 4 agreements. Good stuff. This is the time in our service when we put ourselves into the law of circulation, knowing that in order to receive, we must give. This morning, you are invited to support your spiritual community here at Unity of Columbia in consciousness. I now ask you to take your offering, whether you give electronically, by cash, by check. Please hold it in your hand and your heart as we say these words together. Divine love, one with me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I give, and all that I receive. I am joy-filled and grateful. Thank you, Judy. We have 2 symbols of blessing today. First is the love offering given this morning, held by Steph. We bless these gifts and are grateful for the opportunity to make a difference in the lives of our spiritual family and our world. Second is the prayer box held by Anne. In prayer, we expand our awareness that we are expressions of God, and we receive an abundance of all that we need to fulfill our soul's purpose. Thank you. Now is the time in our service that we hold others in prayer. Please speak your loved one's name aloud so that we can collectively hold space. Bev. For all of the names on our heart, know that you are heard and seen in our collective God mind. Filled with that abundance, let's please rise and sing with us the prayer for protection.
God is here, the light of God surrounds us. God is here, the love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever you are, God is.
We have 2 Unity chaplains who will be available after today's service to pray with you, Mike and Jackie. Thank you. As you move into your week, I invite you to show up in the world as you were wonderfully and beautifully made, in joy and in pure love. Wherever you are, God is.